Welcome to the Intercut podcast channel, where we are recapping some of the most notable premieres of the 2025 Sundance Film Festival. I'm your co-host, Zachary Shevitz, joined by my co-host, Arturo Zurita, and our third leg, Amanda the Jedi, and we are talking about the film If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is the second feature film from writer-director Mary Bronstein. It stars Rose Byrne as Linda, a woman in the midst of a crisis, and the film, which is set to be distributed by A24, also stars Delaney Quinn, A$AP Rocky, Ivy Wolk, Danielle Macdonald, and Conan O'Brien. There's a lot we could say about this movie's plot and the way that it's shot, but at least to start things off, I'd love to keep our reactions sort of vague. So, Arturo, how did If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You make you feel?
We always talk about these anxiety attack movies that make you really feel it. This is an excellent movie I never want to see in my damn life again. We were hearing crazy comparisons, which I'm sure you all mentioned, but I'll just mention the uncut one, because we were that crowd when people said, what humor do you see in this movie? Yeah. I thought Uncut was hilarious. I am now the old man on this If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Wow. This like puts you in the headspace of something that it feels unescapable. It also feels like a comedy, which blew my mind when you go to Letterboxd, do you know the only genre listed for this movie is comedy?
I see it.
Yeah, I mean, look, I laughed. I don't know if that quite encompasses everything this movie is trying to offer you.
But that's the bit, yeah. It's like
they haven't
Uncut.
made anxiety attack a genre yet.
Yeah, no, it fires on all cylinders. One of the best performances from Rose Byrne, who reminds you every single time, yeah, she's beautiful. Yeah, she's a hilarious actress, but she won't play around and give you some of the most dramatic stuff, especially because of how it's shot. You are not missing a bit of her performance.
No.
Absolutely.
Hey, I recommend y'all prep a day when this comes out from A24. Go to a theater that's got the best sound, because that's where the anxiety really kicks in, and just have the rest of the day without anything else, because boy, will this take it out of you. If I Had Legs, a true anxiety attack of a movie, and I mean that in the best compliment possible. I don't want to see it again.
I don't know if it was because it was like so early in the morning that I was a little bit more disarmed than usual, but it's an anxiety attack of a movie. Usually I'm the one who's like, I need to tap out on this. It's too much. This, I was like, I felt like it towed it perfectly. Like, it did such a good job not making you just exasperated at the situation happening, but it's more that you were just kind of like, I hate that she's in this situation, and also there's no way to get her out of it. Because there's so many movies you watch and I'm like, why the fuck is this? Why is this happening? Why is this is like
true despair.
I hate that this is happening to her, but everything that's happening is actually out of her control. It's not one of those movies where you're like, if someone actually just had a single brain cell, we could solve this problem in a minute. It's not a movie that's like, we're just going to make things happen because the movie needs it to happen. Yeah. It's like, no, they have created a situation that both feels realistic, and like you are just you're on her side so much that you're never like, this is fucking stupid. Because the second you start feeling like this is just dumb now, the movie will lose you. This never does that. So I felt very engaged. It is absolutely an anxiety attack of a movie. This is like a whole thing that I would probably have strangled the child. So, like, don't have to worry about that out loud. No, I'm joking.
Hey, it makes you feel
Not
things,
actually.
that's for sure. Maybe it is a comedy.
No, the kid
You're
is
right.
whiny.
Kind of,
the kid is whiny in a way that if my mom had heard that kid whine, my mom would have been like, that never would have been you. That never would have been you. You know?
Yeah, I mean,
that's why you're an only child. The other one complained.
It is just this barrage of like sensations and sounds and feelings in a way that is hard to navigate through. And, you know, the major point of comparison for people coming out of this movie seems to have been Uncut Gems, because that's probably the most recent movie that does a great job giving you a vicarious experience of mounting anxiety as sort of bad decisions mount on the Howie character in that movie. But like, that is a movie about him continuously putting himself into a deeper and deeper hole. Yes. Whereas this is a movie that's just about the unending chaos of living a life, of things being completely out of your control and a little bit too much for you to handle, and maybe even a little bit too much for you to understand, which is why the comparison that some people are making to like David Lynch's Eraserhead maybe feels a little more apt tonally.
I agree.
But this is also kind of completely its own movie. And, you know, truly. I feel like what we've said is a pretty good encapsulation of our feelings about it, that this is not always a pleasant experience, but it is a really impressive one. So kind of, if you want to know absolutely nothing about the movie, I think those are our initial observations. I do kind of want to not get into spoilers, but like at least allow us to talk about the plot a little bit more.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is a good opportunity to pause the review if that's all you want to know about this movie. I think the most notable thing that Art was sort of alluding to is just the way that Mary Bronstein goes about shooting this film. Because you never really leave Rose Byrne. You're kind of constantly in either extreme close-up or not so extreme close-up. The most is a medium shot where you don't ever get your bearings. There's no establishing shot to remove you from the tension. And you're often not even like seeing what the problem is. You're just seeing her reacting to the problem. And it's that experience of not being able to escape the issues.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's like a line in the movie that it's like, it's not supposed to feel like this, or it's not supposed to be like this. And it's just kind of like, I'm obviously not a parent, but I can see why people have kids and you're supposed to be like, oh, you know, it's so fulfilling. It brings your life together. And it's like all those things. It's like, yeah, I'm sure it does. But there's all of these stresses and chaos and hectic things. And like you're trying to deal with all the regular stresses of your life right now. Now you have something that is like living and growing, that's fully reliant on you, that isn't like a pet that will just at least stay the same level the entire time. Like you got to talk to the kid. You've got to teach the
kid talks back. The
kid talks back. And it's like this whole thing that it's like I feel like you start feeling guilty if you're a parent who feels like they're struggling. And like she's kind of made to feel guilty in situations in this movie that it's impossible not to like internalize that, even though, sometimes you're like, I understand if you were like a doctor and you felt like a parent was failing their child, you would probably start maybe getting a little snippy, but it's like, you don't see the mounting like chaos of everything else tumbling in down and like how hard she's trying. It's just like so chaotic and stressful, so that it's you have to feel like a failure, and then everything else is still falling apart around you.
Yeah.
And some of the issues in this movie for her are really practical ones, like, you know, her trying to deal with her child's illness, or trying to navigate life at the motel that they're staying. But then there's these more like then there's these more mysterious ones, like you know, she has a hole in her apartment, but it might be like a realm to some existential galaxy. It never like. As soon as you feel like you maybe understand what's going on, it will throw you this really mysterious curveball that throws you off and just kind of loses your sense of balance in a way. Yeah. And I found that to be really effective.
Yeah.
Just at communicating her mental state, you know?
That's exactly it. Because like she's not sleeping.
So you already have that for the character,
So it's just mounting and mounting and mounting. So like, of course she's like, seeing shit that's not there. She's like literally
whatever
losing
it may be.
Her mind.
Yeah.
You know? Like you're
some
watching
drugs
the last
get involved, kind of?
Yeah, some drugs get involved. To a degree. Like, you know?
But that's why I like the comparison of Uncut. So you know, okay, I'm getting into something that's dealing with anxiety, someone getting in a hole.
Yeah.
But then the David Lynch comparison I thought was very apt, because that at least embraces you. I don't think it dips all the way in there, but when it does skirt it at least has it in the back of your mind, like, oh, okay, I see the swings that it's taking here.
Yeah.
First, I think you'd be a great parent, Amanda. I feel like you're the mom of the group many times. She brought a zinc. She was telling us stories of these kids she takes care of back home. Nah, bro, vicariously, you already are one.
Thank you.
And a great one.
I don't think I'd be a bad
oh,
parent.
Hell
I'm just
no,
like,
bro.
Yeah.
You'd mop that. You would have the fastest editors this side of the border.
I would be like, okay, Timmy, what'd you do today?
The second thing, the technical stuff, as we described. The thing with Uncut Gems is that it barrages you with all of these audio tracks.
Yeah.
The audio tracks in this are insane. We got to see it at one of the better theaters, the Redstone, that had been updated with recliners, that heat and everything. But the mix there was beautiful. As Zach was telling you, it's catching her from the front, and it's almost like a reverse on a Saw, where instead of following him from the back, you're following her from the front. So you're seeing everything around her. then bringing in that idea of the therapist, because she is a therapist and is also dealing with Conan's character, who's described in the synopsis.
The funniest reveal.
As a hostile therapist.
That's the thing.
She just
it's like
walks
this.
out of one room and then into another.
Because he's next door, yeah.
I'm like, shit.
Yeah, and it's that unrelenting nature of the chaos around her that she doesn't get a break in her personal life, and she even, like, in her therapist relationship, she doesn't get a break. He doesn't make any accommodations for her, and she's just... It's the story of a woman who is at the end of a rope in a way that I'm sure we've all felt at the end of our ropes at different times, right? It's just this situation of mass anxiety and to the point where you are dizzied by it. And I think Rose Byrne just is so effective at playing it, not in a way that's melodramatic, but in a way that is just really tangible and real. Like, you feel that sort of bubbling discomfort in her.
Yes.
So when the film does go to their bigger moments, they're really, really earned.
Yeah.
Also, it takes a lot because she's at that tightrope. So just to imagine an actress having to come back in and start the day off with whatever that energy was the day before, she keeps it consistently throughout. Like, the balance of her being so anxious is only met with, what's his name? A$AP Rocky's character, who works at the motel. He brings in a lot of really fun elements to it and is always joking around.
Yeah. I thought it was really good.
Is she the girl? Because she plays the receptionist at the hotel. Is she the girl from the candy shop in...
Honora?
Yes.
She's also an English teacher and is...
that one.
And trends on Twitter sometimes for reasons that I do not feel like getting into.
Wait, what was the last one?
Twitter.
That'll do it. I thought she was going to be the one to really set off Rose Byrne. I thought she was the last straw. Yeah.
Dude, yeah, that one, like... Yeah, by the time I bring you in, it'll be Pat. I'm like... I'm sorry. Is it Utah? Sell the woman her wine.
Yeah, the alcohol bit. Really great supporting cast, including her husband, who I won't say who it is. He is credited. You know who it is immediately off the voice. If you know who he is. Great husband to counteract with her, really pushing her buttons even more. But just a fantastic performance from Rose Byrne. Love the way that it was shot, and it's just like, I recommend it once. But you have to see this movie because it is a technical achievement, an incredible performance, and it's one of those where it's like, if you know, you know. This is the... If you've never felt anxiety like this, God bless you.
Yeah, I was telling to Art after the movie ended that this movie sounded a little bit like the inside of my brain, so maybe that made it go down a little easier for me.
I think I'm on the same page as you. I feel like I just came out of some of, like, the worst anxiety, obsession thoughts for like a month and a half. 2 months.
But if you get it, it feels more relatable. You almost feel comfortable with it.
Yeah, it felt more comfortable than, like, oh my God, people can feel this way, versus like Uncut Gems, where I'm like, why does he keep doing this?
Exactly. Because he has so many things that he's
it's like
carrying at once.
It's like the movie that you're like, oh, it's like he's digging himself, he's digging his own grave, but then you realize the movie started when he was 5 feet deep and he's just going that we're watching the last foot go down.
But for this one, as crazy as it gets, it makes you feel seen. It's like, okay, someone got it and knew how to put it on screen. And there's sounds in this and visuals in this that, like, you just know it needed to be a person who can translate what was going on in their mind. And Mary did it. What was her previous one?
Definitely. Yeast in 2008. So it's been a little while, and I haven't seen that film, but I'm really eager to go revisit it after seeing this one.
Dear Lord,
really
look
blew
at
me
that.
away. Yeah, really interesting cast. Yeah, I was saying, because like both the Safdie brothers and Sean Price Williams are acting in it.
Greta
interesting
Gerwig.
enough. And Greta Gerwig as well. And speaking of the Safdies, shout out to cinematographer for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Christopher Messina. No, not the actor. He's also named Christopher Messina. Christopher Messina was a cam op on Good Time, the Safdie brothers movie, as well as Heaven Knows What. So he comes from that Safdie world, and I feel like you can see some of that handheld jitteriness in sequences in this film.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
As far as If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is concerned, I think that this is probably going to be a movie. It's already with A24. Think it'll get a pretty solid theatrical release based off of the buzz at Sundance, which was really, really strong. I do think this one's going to get an awful cinema score because the experience to it is similar to like the experience of Darren Aronofsky's Mother. It is very assaultive. Yes! And somebody who doesn't know better is going to walk out of this movie angry. Like, people will be pissed
Yeah.
off by this movie. But I also think it's
Oh,
genuinely
baby.
going to be one of the best movies of the year. And I wouldn't be surprised
yeah.
to see it show up at the Gothams. I think it's maybe a little too weird to be like a full-on like Oscar contender this year.
For one element, maybe acting.
I hope
acting-
she's so good. She's
A24
so
money. Yeah.
good in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, look, if Demi Moore can get a run, there's no reason that we can't get a Rose Byrne run this year, right? Like, those
hope.
are similarly like assaultive kind of experiences.
We got ASAP Rocky or Conan?
I mean, Conan's
Conan.
hosting, so he's
Conan.
in with the Oscars.
Ooh. Honestly, hey, he really surprised me because whatever you think it's going to be, no, they had my man perform
Dude,
at the
yeah.
exact level that he needed to.
I
And he
was
also
like,
gets that
Conan?
treatment, straight close-up stuff. I was like, wow, Conan, I'm very, very impressed.
Yeah,
Literally.
he's
Very
doing
subtle.
the thing. It's really good. Do you feel like, without talking in specifics, this film nailed the ending? Did it stick the landing for you, or was it a little not as strong? Because it gets into a little bit more of like a maybe metaphorical realm,
Yeah.
and it hit for me. But I would
liked
not
it.
be surprised if people find it underwhelming.
Well,
People are
that's going
gonna
to be part of the reason for your cinema score thing. You are right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right? Because
people
it's
are
the
gonna
last.
hate
You
it.
have it, but it's also the last thing you got that's going to stick
Right.
with you.
Yeah.
I've liked it more over time.
Yeah. People are definitely going to hate it. I do think people are going to go for the like, sometimes there's movies that feel like they don't commit to endings and it works. And I feel like this might be one of those ones that feels like it's not necessarily committing to something in a way that people are thinking it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But that could just be something that you might get more on repeat viewings, that maybe it is like really saying something with a finality that, you know, people just aren't willing to go for yet. But I think it's definitely going to be polarizing for sure.
Zach mentioned
Yeah.
it being metaphorical. I think it also
Yeah.
maybe restructures what you're seeing in the movie. Perhaps, but I don't know.
It informs it for sure.
Yeah. So I'm curious to re-watch it again, maybe more so in the comfort of my own home. But you need to watch this in theaters when you catch it for the first time in a
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
surround sound type of environment. But there are parts in there where I think you could pick apart, not even for the lore, but to understand her state of mind. And I find
Yeah.
that really cool. The
Yeah,
production
for
design
sure.
and everything isn't for you to like figure out how to solve the story as much as it is for you to understand what caused her to feel the way that she's feeling. What does the whole represent? What is happening at the mall or at the motel? Just a lot of really cool stuff that I think all compile on top of each other. That I just want to hear them talk about the movie more and more.
Absolutely. If I had legs, I'd kick you. I think it's one of the strongest movies we got out of Sundance this year. And it's one of the ones that I think I'm most inclined to try and revisit this in a discussion with you guys once it's out
hell
and
yeah.
we can fully spoil it and see it
Yeah.
again and dive into it. So hopefully we'll get a chance to talk more about this film. Hopefully you will all get a chance to see it not too long from now. I feel like it's probably a fall release for A24. They, put it right in that award cycle. But we'll see. That's Amanda the Jedi. That's Arturo Zurita. I'm Zach Shevich. Find more from us on this channel or on our various channels. We're talking about a bunch of Sundance movies. And until next time, I just want someone to tell me what to do.